guy was super creepy.
Garalon 25-man heroic is also probably one of the easier fights in this raid, especially compared to the last 3 bosses. The fight basically comes down to maintaining an effective kiting order and healers being able to juggle the various heal patterns of the fight. Garalon will apply pheromones to a starting target, and that'll be the fixate kiter. It's your job as the kiter to get him to the edge of the room as much as possible and kite him around the rim as deeply into that edge as possible, around the room, around the room. What makes this fight a little bit more complicated is that a person can't be kiting him infinitely. There's a debuff that builds on the kiter that gets aggressively worse as time goes on. So at a certain point, somebody else will have to get within a certain distance of the current kiter, and they will pass the pheromones to that new person, and that new person will carry on. In heroic, you're no longer able to kite more than once in a reasonable fight length, and so it's just going to come down to following the spreadsheet order and being in place to hand it off. It's also important to note that whoever is the current pheromone target, as they move around the space, they will drop an area of denial, little pool of danger that must be avoided by everybody else. And also it kind of creates a pathing that makes it harder and harder to use the most edge of the room while kiting. Just makes it a little harder for those kiters to dip and dodge between pools that have already been dropped. Healers must be aware that every 35 seconds the boss will do a crush ability, and this is a raid-wide ability that just does a bunch of damage on everyone, but specifically anyone who's within his circle radius gets more damage, and I believe some classes may even be one-shot by crush. And so it's important on heroic every 35 seconds that if you see crush is about to happen, to get away from the boss to help your healers out. In addition, the 2 tanks need to try to stay in front of the boss as much as possible. This is because every so often he'll do a furious swipe frontal cone, and it has to be soaked by at least 2 people, or he'll get an increasingly powerful buff on himself that makes the fight unbearably hard to heal, and we will wipe. Now, the way we damage the boss is he has 4 different legs. Doing damage to his legs does damage to the main body, and it is important to note you can cleave from leg to leg, especially melee. So we're probably going to have the melee on the outside legs and the ranged in the inside of the map, and therefore attacking primarily the inside legs on the way that the boss is spinning around the map. It's important to note when a leg is killed, it's no longer attackable for a short period of time. The boss slows down, which is very important for maintaining our kiting. And we spread our attacks amongst those different legs because we just want to make sure that everybody has always something to attack that's convenient for them. So melee can always count on the outside being available to them, and range can count on the inside. It's also worth noting that melee being close to a leg gives them a buff for that leg temporarily, and so this allows us to have value in having melee. Otherwise, everybody would stack range for this fight and just attack from a distance. Now, in a heroic, at 33% life remaining, the boss actually stops his fixating ability and becomes tauntable, tankable, and it's just a last-ditch effort to zerg him before he kills us. All the same mechanics occur, so we're talking about that frontal cleave, the stomps, and very specifically, the pheromone still happens, he just doesn't fixate on that target. So if you're up on the spreadsheet next in line to kite pheromones, you have to continue to do that until he's dead. And this is important to note that you are moving your zone denial stuffs out of the raid, and you're handing it off until it's over.